Hey yo, it's Nigel. Gaming Nintendo Switch must own games. A common modern conception is that investing in video games for a profit is just not feasible, and that isn't true. There are certain games that are rare or quote unquote limited run games that will absolutely turn you a profit if you invest in them. As you can see on price charting, an app that actively tracks how much games are being sold for on other sites such as eBay, the collector's edition of Animal Well has doubled in value since its initial release. However, what's interesting to note is that even though Animal Well is a rare game to find and own, the new and sealed price is not too dissimilar from the new graded price, meaning that even if you were to go through the process of having this game graded from companies such as Wata or CGC, the actual value of the game is not too dissimilar or significantly different to make going through the process of grading the game worthwhile. Now here's the caveat that motivated me to buy these Malko protector cases for Switch games. This may not be the best example, considering it took a pandemic for people to realize that the GameCube game library is worth owning and playing through. However, the market trends track for current patterns for Switch 1 games. In 2002, Super Mario Sunshine sold 5.91 million copies on the Nintendo GameCube. Not necessarily a rare game. At retail price, it sold for $50 and at a sales price as low as $20. Adjusting for inflation, that's approximately $90 and as low as $35. Take note that even though not a rare game, at new and sealed it sells for $550 and graded new sells at almost $700, a $150 difference, with a current average of one sale a month on eBay. Now here is a modern day slam dunk. For better or for worse, Nintendo, even regardless of their faults, does more or less keep their word. When they released Super Mario 3D All-Stars, they said that it was only going to be released on storefronts for a limited time and at a limited quantity. Even on their digital storefronts, it was only for sale for a short period of time. I personally took stock of this and bought 4 different copies of this game. Ultimately, Super Mario 3D All-Stars sold 9.01 million copies and now sells for approximately $120 on eBay with an average of 5 sales per day. Now, what's interesting to note is that graded new, this game sells for $217 with 1 sale per week average. That's a difference of $100. Now you might say, well, Nigel, that's only $100 of a difference, and if I go through the grading process, it's not that great of a profit for me. And I would tell you, shut the hell up and listen to what I'm saying. This game is following similar trends that Super Mario Sunshine is doing, and that game is actually on this cartridge along with 2 other additional 3D games. What that really boils down to is 3 times the nostalgia bait, which seems to be a factor in how well these certain games sell for. Not to mention the rarity, artificial or not, that Nintendo put on these games by making it unattainable even digitally. What that means to me, in my personal opinion, is that in the future, pandemic pending or not, that these games will have a higher value than even the original GameCube games had in the past. I'm not promising that you'll be able to send your kids or grandkids to college, but what I am saying is that you should invest in this game sooner than later, grade it or don't grade it, but just sit back and watch the value of it go up over time. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, I have to be honest with you, when this first released in 2023, I went a little bit ham and bought every version of everything that they released, including the collector's edition, the digital edition, the physical hard copy of the cartridge, and also the Nintendo Switch OLED that I still have in the box and not used. So that's why I actually still have this collector's edition unboxed, more or less. But in true Nintendo fashion, at least the current Nintendo, they updated the hell out of this cartridge, making it so that you cannot play this physical copy of the game without the need and access to the internet. And in my mind, that explains why the collector's edition's value has essentially plateaued to a little bit less than retail value. This collector's edition of the game was actually the catalyst that made me do further research into the whole graded new phenomenon from Wata and CGC, because for some reason that I cannot fully explain, the graded version of this game is exponentially more valuable than the actual game itself, new and sealed. That is why I actually went ahead and bought this protector's case for the box and decided to go into further research figuring out which games exactly have greater value if they are graded new as opposed to just being new and sealed. Like most every other game on this list, the value of the collector's edition for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom took a hit in late May, just before the release of the Switch 2 in June. If I were to take a guess, it's because either collectors are trying to keep their inventory liquid, or people are trying to find money somewhere to invest into the Switch 2 in all of its peripherals. Regardless, the current value sits at approximately $470, with an upward trend of the increase in the value, with an average of one sale per month. The highest value peaked at approximately $1,300, and over the last year or so, it's plateaued at an average of around $900. So that's almost 10 times its current value. Graded new versus new and sealed. Now this may change over time, considering Nintendo released a Switch 2 version of this game that also has the Switch 1 version on the cart. But if my theory about how nostalgia drives the demand for these games, I believe that this game, Zelda the Tears of the Kingdom Collector's Edition, graded new, will continue to go up in value over time. Further proof of my theory: Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet Double Pack. Although when the game first released it spiked in value, after it was rediscovered that the game had glitches that essentially made it unplayable and forced Nintendo to release updates that more or less made the cartridge reliant on an internet update, the new sealed price dropped. But over time, the graded new price jumped dramatically to almost 4 times that value. Now, if that isn't proof that graded new means something, I don't know what else does. Well, except Pokemon Legends Arceus, or Arceus if you're nasty. This is one game on this list that I highly recommend investing in if you want to buy a game that will increase in value. However, there is a small caveat. You want the revision cartridge 003. Fortunately, this is one of the few games that is available out right now, easy to find for less than retail of $60. I'll be sure to include in the description of this video a spreadsheet that shows which Switch 1 games are complete on cartridge and which ones are not. This will be a good indicator of which games are worthwhile to invest in. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is a great example of a game that you can get right now as retail stores, including big boxes, are trying to empty their inventory to make space for new Switch 2 games. So, for instance, you can buy this game for around $40 at certain retailers, and on eBay, people are also trying to empty out and liquidate their stock and selling it for around $40. And it follows the theory because graded new, it's almost 4 times more than a new and sealed prices on eBay selling regularly on average. Ender Lilies is a wild card. It doesn't follow the theory but did sell last year for $250 graded new. If you can find it, good luck. If you enjoyed this content, leave a like. If I get 15 likes, I'll do a second video explaining the process on how to get these games graded. Hey yo, you know the like button is free? If you made it this far into the video, we appreciate you spending your time with us. Subscribe and we'll see you in the next one.